Awakening of the Lost. Eloan brushed aside the thick vines as she stepped into the heart of the ancient forest on planet Xylaris, 9. The air was dense with humidity, and vibrant colors surrounded her, each plant pulsating with life in shades she had never seen before. She adjusted her visor to filter out some of the glare from the twin suns overhead while checking her wrist-mounted scanner for any signs of life or technology. 3 weeks had passed since she had set foot on this desolate planet as part of an exploratory mission sanctioned by Earth Command. Her goal was simple: uncover remnants of civilizations long lost to time. The ruins she had encountered so far were fascinating but offered little in terms of understanding what had happened to their inhabitants. As she pushed deeper into the underbrush, her scanner beeped insistently, a signal that something significant lay ahead. Heart racing with excitement, Eloan quickened her pace until she broke through a thicket and gasped at what lay before her, a colossal spacecraft partially buried in earth and vines. The ship's exterior was unlike anything she had ever seen. Its sleek lines hinted at advanced technology that could only belong to an ancient civilization far more sophisticated than humanity's current capabilities. She approached cautiously, noting how nature had begun to reclaim it, wrapping its tendrils around the metallic hull like a protective embrace. "Wow," she whispered to herself, marveling at the sight. "What secrets do you hold?" Eloan activated her scanner again as she circled the craft, searching for any signs of life or power sources still functioning after centuries of abandonment. The readings were faint but unmistakable. There was energy emanating from within. With determination fueling her actions, she found a breach in the hull where vines had been torn away by time or perhaps by other explorers before her. Stepping inside felt like crossing a threshold into another world. Darkness enveloped her as she switched on her flashlight. The interior was eerily silent yet astonishingly well preserved. Dust motes danced in the beam of light as it illuminated intricate carvings on the walls, symbols that hinted at a rich culture lost to history. Eloan moved deeper into the ship's corridor until she reached what appeared to be a control room filled with alien technology beyond her comprehension. Her scanner pinged again, this time louder and more urgent, as it directed her attention toward a sealed chamber at the back. Curiosity piqued, she approached cautiously and examined an ancient control panel covered in strange glyphs. After several moments spent deciphering its layout using her translation software, she activated it with trembling fingers. The door hissed open with a rush of air that felt cool against her skin, a stark contrast to the humid atmosphere outside. Inside lay a large glass capsule filled with a shimmering blue liquid that glowed softly in the dim light. As Eloan stepped closer, her breath caught in her throat at what lay within, the figure of an alien woman suspended in stasis. Her skin shimmered with iridescent hues, reminiscent of opals under sunlight, while long tendrils of hair floated around her like seaweed in water. "What have I found?" Eloan murmured in awe as she scanned the capsule systems for any signs of life or consciousness. Her scanner confirmed what seemed impossible: the being inside was alive but trapped in some form of suspended animation for centuries. A mix of trepidation and wonder coursed through her veins as she contemplated waking this lost soul from her slumber. "This is beyond my pay grade," Eloan muttered under her breath but found herself drawn closer nonetheless. With each passing moment, something deep within urged her forward, a connection that transcended time and space itself. She hesitated only briefly before pressing buttons on the control panel that initiated the revival sequence. The blue liquid began to drain away slowly as lights flickered to life around them. The woman's chest rose and fell with each breath until finally, her golden eyes snapped open wide with confusion and fear. Eloan stepped back instinctively as their gazes locked, two worlds colliding in an instant. "Who are you?" The woman's voice was melodic yet tinged with disorientation as she struggled against gravity's pull after so long in stasis. "I'm Eloan," she replied cautiously while trying to gauge how much this being understood about her situation. "I'm here. I woke you." "Woke me?" The woman blinked rapidly as if trying to process this new reality before lowering her gaze to take in her surroundings, the remnants of her past life now shrouded in dust and decay. How long have I slept? Her voice trembled slightly with disbelief as she turned back toward Awoken. 100 years, Awoken said softly, feeling sympathy wash over her as realization dawned on this enigmatic figure before her. A century, the woman whispered as emotions flickered across her face, grief mingling with confusion, and then anger ignited within those golden eyes like flames licking at dry wood. I am Lyra, she finally declared with newfound determination etched upon every feature as if reclaiming lost power from deep within herself. Awoken felt an electric thrill course through her at Lyra's introduction, the weight of history bearing down upon them both like an unspoken promise binding their fates together across time itself. What happened? Lyra asked abruptly as memories began flooding back, fragments piecing together like shards from shattered glass reflecting light anew amidst darkness surrounding them both now intertwined by destiny's design. Your civilization, it vanished, Awoken explained gently while stepping closer again despite lingering uncertainty about how much trust could be placed upon this extraordinary being who had awakened after so long a sleep beneath layers upon layers of neglect left behind by time itself. Lyra's expression darkened further still, a storm brewing behind those golden irises now brimming with intensity fueled by passion ignited from within, a desire not only for answers but revenge against those who had stolen everything away from her people without mercy or remorse, left behind only echoes fading into silence over decades gone by. I will find out what happened, Lyra vowed fiercely while rising unsteadily yet resolutely onto feet once more, finding strength returning rapidly now, coursing through veins renewed by purpose ignited anew amidst shadows lingering overhead threatening encroachment upon their fragile alliance forged here today beneath stars shining brightly overhead illuminating paths ahead still unknown yet filled with possibilities waiting patiently just beyond reach. Awoken nodded solemnly, feeling solidarity forming between them both despite differences vast spanning galaxies separating worlds once familiar now strange yet somehow comforting all at once binding them together through shared experiences forged anew amidst chaos unfolding around them both here today. Together we'll uncover your past, Awoken promised quietly, determinedly meeting Lyra's gaze unwaveringly, feeling hope blossoming amidst uncertainty swirling around them both, beckoning forth future bright shining ahead filled with potential waiting patiently just beyond reach. A world reclaimed. Awoken and Lyra stood in the remnants of the once grand spacecraft, a vessel that had carried the hopes and dreams of a civilization long gone. As Lyra adjusted to her new reality, Awoken felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. The gravity of their situation weighed heavily on her. They were not just uncovering history but also navigating the fragile threads of survival. Exploring the ship. After a brief moment of silence, Lyra began to explore her surroundings, her golden eyes wide with wonder and sorrow. She traced her fingers over the intricate carvings on the walls, whispering softly to herself as memories flooded back. This was my home, she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. I remember the celebrations, the laughter, everything. Awoken watched as Lyra's expression shifted from nostalgia to determination. We need to find out what happened, she said firmly. Your people deserve to be remembered. Indeed, Lyra replied, her gaze sharpening. But we must also be cautious. If House Morn still exists, they will not take kindly to my awakening. Awoken nodded, understanding the weight of Lyra's words. They had to tread carefully, every step could lead them closer to danger or discovery. The AI awakens. As they navigated through the ship's corridors, Awoken noticed a flickering console in what appeared to be a control room. She approached it cautiously, her heart racing with anticipation. Let's see if we can access any logs or data, she suggested. Lyra stepped beside her, watching intently as Awoken worked on the console. After several moments of fiddling with the controls, the screen lit up with static before stabilizing into a series of holographic displays. Welcome back, Lady Lyra, a mechanical voice echoed through the room. I am Kira, your ship's artificial intelligence. Lyra gasped, recognition dawning on her face. Kira. I thought you were lost. I have been in standby mode since your preservation, Kira explained, her holographic form flickering slightly. I am here to assist you in any way possible. Eloan exchanged glances with Lyra, intrigued by this unexpected ally. Can you provide us with information about what happened to your civilization? She asked. Accessing historical archives, Kira replied smoothly. The screen shifted to show images of vibrant cities and advanced technology interspersed with scenes of chaos and destruction. The conflict between House Ven and House Morn escalated rapidly, Kira continued. What began as ideological disagreements turned into full-scale war. Your family was targeted due to your progressive views. Lyra clenched her fists as she watched the footage unfold, her past laid bare before her eyes. They destroyed everything we built, everything we stood for, she said bitterly. A plan forms. Eloan felt a surge of empathy for Lyra. This was not just history, they were witnessing the remnants of a lost future. We need to find allies, she suggested urgently. If there are still survivors from your house or supporters of your cause, we can rally them. Lyra nodded slowly, determination returning to her expression. Kira, do you have any records of other surviving members of House Ven? Scanning for potential survivors, Kira paused for a moment before responding. There are indications that some members may have escaped during the initial conflict and have been living in hiding across various systems. Then we need to find them, Eloan declared, feeling a sense of purpose ignite within her. We'll gather support and reclaim what was lost. Lyra's golden eyes sparkled with hope as she looked at Eloan. You would help me do this? After everything? Absolutely, Eloan replied without hesitation. You deserve justice for what happened to your people. The journey begins. With Kira guiding them through the ship's systems and providing intel on potential allies, Eloan and Lyra prepared for their journey beyond the confines of the spacecraft. They gathered supplies and weapons from hidden compartments within the ship, advanced technology that had lain dormant for too long. As they stepped outside into the alien landscape once more, Eloan felt an exhilarating rush of adrenaline coursing through her veins. The vibrant colors of Xylaris, 9 surrounded them like an otherworldly tapestry, a stark contrast to the dark memories they were leaving behind. Where do we start? Eloan asked as they made their way through the dense foliage. There is an old ally who may still reside on a nearby moon, Lyra replied thoughtfully. His name is Eldrin, he was one of my father's most trusted advisors. Let's go find him then, Eloan said with determination as they set off toward their next destination. Facing new challenges. As they traversed through thick undergrowth and alien flora, Eloan remained vigilant for any signs of danger lurking in the shadows. The atmosphere felt charged with tension, the weight of their mission pressing down upon them like an invisible force. I can't shake this feeling that we're being watched, Eloan admitted quietly as they paused for a moment beneath a massive tree whose branches twisted toward the sky like skeletal fingers. Lyra nodded in agreement, her senses heightened after years spent in stasis. House Morn will not rest until they ensure I am eliminated completely. Suddenly, a rustling sound echoed from behind them, sharp and unsettling in its urgency. Get down! Eloan shouted instinctively as she pushed Lyra behind a thick trunk just as a sleek ship zoomed overhead, its engines roaring like thunder. They held their breath as it passed out of sight before exchanging worried glances. We need to move quickly, Lyra urged, urgency lacing her voice. Eloan nodded resolutely, there was no time for hesitation now, they had come too far to turn back. A glimmer of hope. As night fell over Xylaris, 9, stars twinkled overhead like distant memories waiting to be reclaimed. The two women pressed onward through the darkness, each step fueled by hope and determination. After hours of navigating treacherous terrain illuminated only by bioluminescent plants lining their path, they finally arrived at Eldrin's hidden sanctuary, a small cave nestled between two towering cliffs. Eldrin. Lyra called out as they entered cautiously, her voice echoing against stone walls that had witnessed both triumphs and tragedies over centuries. A figure emerged from the shadows, a tall man with silver hair and piercing blue eyes that seemed to hold centuries' worth of wisdom within them. Lyra, Eldrin breathed in disbelief before stepping forward to embrace her tightly. I thought you were lost forever. I was preserved, she explained quickly while gesturing toward Awoken who stood nearby watching intently. This is Awoken, she has helped me awaken and reclaim our legacy. Eldrin studied Awoken carefully before nodding slowly in acknowledgement. You have done what many would fear, woken a sleeping princess from ages past. Awoken felt warmth spread through her at his words. Perhaps this journey was meant for more than just survival, it was about restoring hope where it had long been extinguished. We need your help, Lyra said urgently as they gathered around Eldrin in his cave sanctuary filled with relics from their civilization's glory days. I will do whatever it takes, Eldrin promised solemnly while meeting each woman's gaze with unwavering resolve, their fates now intertwined by shared purpose forged anew amidst shadows lingering overhead threatening encroachment upon their fragile alliance. Echoes of betrayal. The moment hung in the air, charged with unspoken words and emotions swirling between Awoken and Lyra. They stood in the dim light of the cave, surrounded by relics of a lost civilization, the weight of history pressing down on them. Eldrin, the last advisor of House Ven, watched them with a knowing gaze, sensing the bond forming in the face of adversity. A new alliance. Lyra, Eldrin began, breaking the silence that had enveloped them. We must act quickly. If House Morn has sent their hunters, they will not stop until they find you. Lyra nodded, her expression resolute. We need to gather allies. If there are still supporters of House Ven out there, we must reach them before it's too late. Awoken felt a surge of determination as she listened to their exchange. The stakes were higher than she had anticipated. This was not just about uncovering history but about fighting for the survival of an entire lineage. How do we find these allies? She asked. Eldrin stepped forward, his silver hair catching the faint light. There are whispers of a resistance forming among those who survived the initial purge. They have been hiding in the shadows, waiting for a sign that House Ven still lives. What do we need to do? Awoken pressed, eager to contribute to their cause. We must first reach the hidden stronghold, Eldrin explained. It is located on the moon of Xylaris 4, where remnants of our people have gathered. But it is heavily guarded by House Morn's forces. Lyra's eyes gleamed with determination as she turned to Awoken. We will need your ship and your skills to navigate through their defenses. Awoken felt a rush of excitement at the prospect. I'm ready. Let's get moving. The journey begins. They left the cave behind, stepping into the twilight of Xylaris 9. The landscape was bathed in shades of purple and blue as night fell, creating an eerie yet beautiful backdrop for their mission. As they made their way toward Awoken's hidden ship, a sense of urgency propelled them forward. Stay close, Awoken instructed as they moved through the dense foliage, every rustle and shadow heightening their senses. The air was thick with tension, they all understood that danger lurked nearby. As they approached Awoken's ship, a sleek vessel camouflaged among the trees, she felt a surge of pride. It was her home away from home, equipped with advanced technology that could help them evade their pursuers. Here it is, she said, gesturing toward the ship as they reached its hidden clearing. Lyra's eyes widened in awe as she took in the sleek design and advanced features. This is impressive, she remarked, admiration evident in her voice. Awoken grinned at her praise. Thanks. Let's get inside and prepare for takeoff. Once aboard, Awoken quickly initiated pre-flight protocols while Lyra and Eldrin secured their gear. The ship hummed to life around them, its systems coming online as Awoken navigated through various screens displaying star maps and sensor readings. Coordinates set for Xylaris 4, she announced confidently. We'll need to be cautious, I'll keep an eye out for any hostile ships on our scanners. As they prepared for launch, Eldrin shared stories about House Ven's history, tales filled with bravery and innovation that inspired both Eloan and Lyra. A sudden attack. Just as they were about to lift off, alarms blared throughout the ship, cutting through their momentary calm like a knife. Eloan's heart raced as she glanced at her screens. Multiple ships detected approaching fast, she shouted over the noise. "They're not friendly." "House Morn," Lyra confirmed grimly as she tightened her grip on a weapon that had been stowed nearby. "Get us out of here," Eldrin urged. Eloan worked furiously at the controls, her fingers flying across buttons and switches as she initiated launch sequences while keeping an eye on the incoming vessels displayed on her screen. The ship jolted violently as it broke free from its camouflage, a sudden burst of speed propelling them into open space just as enemy ships entered firing range. "Hold on!" Eloan shouted as she maneuvered through incoming fire, her instincts kicking in as she navigated expertly around obstacles in space while dodging enemy blasts. "Can you shake them?" Lyra called out from beside her, her voice steady despite the chaos surrounding them. "I'm trying," Eloan replied through gritted teeth as she executed sharp turns and evasive maneuvers. The enemy ships were relentless, sleek and predatory in design, firing at them with precision. An unexpected ally. Just when it seemed like escape would be impossible, a new ship appeared on their sensors, a massive vessel emblazoned with symbols reminiscent of House Ven's insignia. "Who is that?" Eldrin asked incredulously as he peered at the screen. "It looks like an ally," Eloan exclaimed with hope surging within her chest. The new ship engaged House Morn's forces with fierce determination, lasers flashing across space as it provided cover for Eloan's vessel to maneuver away from danger. "Let's get closer," Lyra urged as she prepared to make contact with their unexpected ally. As they drew nearer, Eloan could see figures moving about on the larger ship, warriors readying themselves for battle against House Morn's hunters. "Open a channel," Lyra commanded urgently. Eloan complied quickly, establishing communication just as another blast rocked their ship, sending vibrations coursing through its hull. "This is Captain Thorne of the Starfire," came a deep voice over the comms. "Identify yourselves." "This is Lyra Ven." "I am alive," Lyra shouted back, her voice filled with urgency and emotion. "We need your help." There was a moment of stunned silence before Captain Thorne responded. "Lyra? We thought you were lost. We'll cover your escape, get aboard." With renewed determination fueling her actions, Eloan piloted their ship toward Starfire's docking bay while dodging more incoming fire from House Morn's vessels still hot on their trail. Aboard Starfire. Once inside Starfire's docking bay, Eloan quickly powered down her systems while Lyra and Eldrin rushed toward an awaiting group of warriors who greeted them with shouts of joy and relief. "Lady Lyra," one warrior exclaimed, his eyes shining with admiration. "You've returned." Eloan felt a swell of pride watching Lyra embrace her people, the warmth radiating between them palpable even amidst chaos surrounding them, all now united against common foes threatening everything they held dear. "We need to regroup and strategize," Captain Thorne instructed firmly after assessing their situation quickly before turning his attention back toward Eloan, who had stepped forward hesitantly, still processing everything unfolding around her so rapidly now. "You fought well out there," he said appreciatively, meeting her gaze directly, filled with respect earned during battle fought side by side against overwhelming odds stacked against them all here today. "I did what I could," Eloan replied humbly, feeling gratitude swell within her chest at being recognized for efforts made despite uncertainty lingering overhead, threatening encroachment upon fragile alliance forged anew amidst shadows lingering overhead. "We'll need every hand we can get if we're going to take down House Morn once and for all," Captain Thorne continued, his tone serious yet hopeful, igniting fire within hearts gathered here today. Lyra stepped forward again, determination etched upon every feature, reflecting strength found within despite darkness looming overhead, threatening encroachment upon fragile alliance forged anew amidst chaos unfolding around them both, beckoning forth future bright shining ahead filled with potential waiting patiently just beyond reach. "We'll reclaim what was lost," she declared fiercely, meeting each warrior's gaze unwaveringly, feeling solidarity forming between them all despite differences vast, spanning galaxies, separating worlds once familiar now strange, yet somehow comforting all at once, binding them together through shared experiences forged anew amidst chaos unfolding around them both, beckoning forth future bright shining ahead filled with potential waiting patiently just beyond reach. The path of redemption. The tension in the air was palpable as Ray and Aurora crouched behind the fallen tree trunk, their hearts racing in sync with the distant whir of House Morn's ships. The distraction unit had drawn the hunters away, but they knew it was only a matter of time before the enemy regrouped and resumed their search. A dangerous decision. Ray's mind raced as he weighed their options. "We need to move," he urged, glancing at Aurora, whose golden eyes were filled with a mix of determination and vulnerability. "We can't stay here for long." Aurora nodded, her expression resolute. "You're right. But we must find a way to ensure our safety before we reach your ship." "What do you have in mind?" Ray asked, intrigued. "I have a few tricks up my sleeve," she replied with a hint of mischief in her voice. "If I can access some of the old systems still operational in this area, I might be able to create a diversion that will buy us time." Ray raised an eyebrow, impressed by her confidence. "Lead the way then." As they moved cautiously through the underbrush, Aurora took the lead, her movements graceful and deliberate. Ray followed closely, acutely aware of the electric connection between them, a bond forged in urgency and shared purpose. Reclaiming power. They arrived at a small clearing where remnants of ancient technology lay scattered among the foliage, pieces of machinery that had once belonged to Aurora's civilization. She knelt beside a half-buried console, brushing away dirt and vines to reveal its surface. "This is one of our communication relays," she explained, her fingers deftly working over the controls. "If I can get it operational, I can send out a false signal that will mislead House Morn's ships." Ray watched as she focused intently on her task, admiration swelling within him. "You really know your stuff," he said, trying to lighten the mood. Aurora glanced up at him, a smile breaking through her concentration. "You'd be surprised what you learn when you're forced to survive." As she continued to work on the console, Ray scanned their surroundings for any signs of danger. The sounds of distant engines filled the air, a reminder that time was running out. "Almost there," Aurora muttered under her breath as she pressed buttons and adjusted dials. Just then, an alarm blared from one of the nearby ships. House Morn had detected their presence. Ray's heart sank as he realized they were running out of time. "Aurora! We need to hurry," he shouted, urgency lacing his voice. "I'm trying," she replied, her brow furrowed in concentration. A moment of connection. In that tense moment, Ray felt compelled to reach out to her. He placed a hand on her shoulder, grounding them both amidst the chaos surrounding them. "We'll get through this together," he assured her. Aurora looked up at him, her golden eyes reflecting both fear and hope. "Thank you for believing in me," she said softly. Their gazes locked for a heartbeat longer than necessary, an unspoken understanding passing between them. In that instant, Ray realized how much he cared for this woman who had awakened from a century-long slumber to face unimaginable odds. But before he could express his feelings further, Aurora returned her focus to the console. "I've got it," she exclaimed triumphantly as lights flickered to life around them. A holographic display projected into the air, a false signal designed to mimic a distress call emanating from another location entirely. "Now we wait," she said with a grin. "The chase begins again." As they hid behind the console, watching the holographic signal pulse into existence, Ray's heart raced with anticipation. Would it be enough? Would they have time to reach his ship? Suddenly, they heard voices approaching. House Mornt's hunters were closing in on their position. "We need to move now," Ray urged again as he pulled Aurora to her feet. "Follow me," she commanded as they darted into the dense underbrush once more. The sounds of pursuit echoed behind them, shouts and footsteps growing louder as their enemies closed in. Ray felt adrenaline surge through his veins as they navigated through thick vegetation, each step bringing them closer to safety. "Over there." Aurora pointed toward a narrow path leading deeper into the forest, a potential escape route. They sprinted down the path, branches whipping past them as they pushed forward with all their strength. The sounds of pursuit faded slightly behind them, but not enough to ease Ray's anxiety. A hidden sanctuary. After what felt like an eternity of running, they stumbled upon an ancient structure partially hidden by vines and foliage, a remnant of Aurora's civilization that had somehow survived the ravages of time. "This way," Aurora urged as she led him inside through an archway adorned with intricate carvings that told stories of bravery and loss. Inside was dark but surprisingly intact, walls lined with ancient technology that hummed faintly with residual energy. It felt like stepping into a forgotten world, a sanctuary untouched by House Mornt's wrath. "We can hide here for now," Aurora suggested as they caught their breath amidst the shadows. Ray nodded appreciatively while scanning their surroundings. It was both beautiful and haunting, a testament to what had once been before everything changed forever. "I'll see if I can access any systems here," Aurora said after regaining some composure while moving toward one of the consoles lining the walls. "Be careful," Ray cautioned as he kept watch at the entrance, his instincts on high alert while listening intently for any signs of danger approaching once more. Uncovering secrets. As Aurora worked on activating one of the consoles, Ray couldn't help but admire her determination. She moved with purpose and grace, each action revealing layers of strength hidden beneath her noble exterior. "I'm connecting to what remains of our network," she explained while tapping away at controls. Lights flickered around them, casting ethereal shadows against ancient walls adorned with stories long forgotten. Ray felt a sense of awe wash over him as he watched. This was more than just survival, it was about reclaiming lost legacies and forging new paths forward against overwhelming odds stacked against them both here today. "Got it!" Aurora exclaimed, suddenly breaking his reverie. Screens illuminated around them displaying fragmented data streams from centuries past, records detailing House Ven's history along with remnants from other houses involved in their downfall. "This could help us understand what happened during those dark times," she said excitedly while scrolling through information rapidly displayed before them like ghosts whispering secrets long buried beneath layers upon layers left behind by time itself. Ray stepped closer, intrigued by what lay before him. Every piece revealed more about not just House Ven but also their enemies, their motivations driving actions taken against those who dared challenge traditions upheld for generations, unyielding despite progress made over time. "Aurora," he began hesitantly, unsure whether this was an appropriate moment given circumstances surrounding them both now intertwined by fate yet again. She glanced up, meeting his gaze. Golden eyes shining brightly, filled with determination, forged anew amidst chaos unfolding around them, beckoning forth future bright shining ahead filled with potential waiting patiently just beyond reach. "What is it?" she asked softly, sensing his hesitation lingering overhead, threatening encroachment upon fragile alliance forged anew amidst shadows lingering overhead. "I want you to know that whatever happens next, I'm here for you," Ray said earnestly, feeling weight behind every word spoken aloud, resonating deeply within both souls intertwined by destiny's design, guiding paths forward still unknown yet filled with possibilities waiting patiently just beyond reach. Aurora smiled warmly, gratitude shining through those golden irises, reflecting strength found within despite darkness looming overhead, threatening encroachment upon fragile alliance forged anew amidst chaos unfolding around them, beckoning forth future bright shining ahead filled with potential waiting patiently just beyond reach. "Thank you," she replied sincerely, warmth radiating between them, binding fates together across time itself, intertwining destinies forged anew amidst uncertainty swirling around, beckoning forth future bright shining ahead filled with potential waiting patiently just beyond reach. Before either could speak further, a loud crash echoed outside, followed by shouts signaling House Morn's hunters had found their trail once more. "We need to move," Ray urged, urgently pulling Aurora back toward safety, deeper into hidden sanctuary, still holding secrets waiting patiently just beyond reach. The final stand. The tension in the air was thick as Ray and Aurora crouched low, hidden beneath the dense foliage of Proxima B7. The distant whir of House Morn's ships echoed ominously above them, a reminder that time was running out. They had evaded capture for now, but the hunters were relentless, and their advanced technology made it only a matter of time before they closed in. Preparing for battle. Ray's heart raced as he glanced at Aurora, who was scanning their surroundings with keen eyes. Her golden irises glimmered with determination and an underlying fear that mirrored his own. "We need to find a way to fight back," he said, his voice low but urgent. Aurora nodded, her expression hardening with resolve. "I may have a few tricks left from my time," she replied, her voice steady despite the chaos surrounding them. "But we must act quickly." "Let's use the terrain to our advantage," Ray suggested, recalling the dense undergrowth and natural barriers that could provide cover. "If we can lure them into a trap, we might stand a chance." Aurora's lips curled into a fierce smile. "I like your thinking, human. Let's show them that the last daughter of House Ven is not to be underestimated." As they moved deeper into the forest, Ray felt a surge of adrenaline coursing through him. They were no longer just survivors, they were warriors fighting for their lives and the legacy of Aurora's people. Setting the trap. They found a clearing where tall trees formed a natural perimeter, creating an ideal spot for an ambush. Ray quickly began to set up makeshift barriers using fallen branches and foliage while Aurora worked on activating hidden defenses from her civilization. "Do you think they'll fall for it?" Ray asked as he secured the last branch in place. "They will," Aurora replied confidently. "House Morn is overconfident in their superiority. They won't expect us to fight back." Ray took a deep breath, trying to steady his nerves as he prepared for what lay ahead. He had never imagined himself in such a situation, fighting alongside an alien princess against a ruthless enemy. But there was no turning back now, they had come too far. Just then, the sound of engines roared closer, sending a jolt of fear through both of them. "They're here," Ray whispered urgently. "Positions," Aurora commanded as they took their places behind the makeshift barriers, hearts pounding in unison. The first wave. The first House Morn ship descended into the clearing with an ominous grace, its sleek design cutting through the air like a predator stalking its prey. Ray's breath caught in his throat as he watched it land with precision. "Stay focused," Aurora urged, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around them. As the ship's hatch opened, armed soldiers emerged, clad in dark armor that glinted menacingly in the fading light. They moved with military precision, scanning the area for any signs of life. Ray exchanged a glance with Aurora, they were ready. As soon as the first soldier stepped into their trap, Ray activated a hidden device that sent up a burst of bright light and sound, a distraction designed to disorient their enemies. The soldiers staggered back in confusion as blinding light filled the clearing. "Now!" Aurora shouted as they sprang into action. Ray charged forward alongside Aurora, adrenaline fueling their movements as they launched themselves at the disoriented soldiers. The element of surprise was on their side, but they knew it wouldn't last long. Fighting back. The clash was intense. Ray fought with everything he had, using his training to dodge attacks and strike back against House Morn's soldiers. Aurora moved gracefully beside him, her movements fluid and powerful as she utilized advanced combat techniques that left Ray in awe. "You're incredible," he shouted between breaths as they fought side by side. "I've had to be," she replied with determination etched on her features. "For my people." As they battled fiercely against overwhelming odds, Ray felt an unbreakable bond forming between them, a shared purpose that transcended time and space. They were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for hope and redemption. But just when it seemed like they might gain the upper hand, reinforcements arrived from House Morn, additional ships swooping down to join the fray. "More incoming!" Aurora shouted as she ducked behind cover while firing at their attackers. Ray gritted his teeth. They needed to hold their ground but also find a way to escape this overwhelming onslaught. "We can't keep this up forever," he yelled over the chaos. "Then let's make our escape," Aurora replied decisively. "We need to reach my ship, it still has some operational systems." Ray nodded in agreement. It was their best chance at survival. "Cover me while I create another distraction." A desperate gamble. With determination fueling his actions, Ray sprinted toward one of the fallen trees that provided cover while activating another distraction device, a small explosive designed to create noise and confusion among their enemies. As he threw it toward a cluster of soldiers nearby, it detonated with a deafening blast that sent debris flying and drew attention away from Aurora's position. "Go! Now!" Ray shouted as he made his way back toward Aurora amidst the chaos erupting around them. Aurora followed closely behind him as they darted through the clearing toward an escape route leading deeper into the forest, every step bringing them closer to safety but also closer to danger as House Morn's forces regrouped rapidly. Reaching their ship, they navigated through thick underbrush and tangled roots until finally reaching a hidden path that led them toward Aurora's ship, an elegant vessel nestled among trees like a secret waiting to be uncovered. "Almost there," Ray urged breathlessly as they approached the sleek craft that had once been home to royalty, now serving as their last hope for survival against overwhelming odds stacked against them. As they reached the ship's entrance, Ray quickly activated its systems while glancing over his shoulder anxiously. House Morn would not be far behind them. "Get inside," he urged Aurora as she climbed aboard before him. Every second counted now if they hoped to escape this nightmare alive. Once inside, Ray powered up systems while monitoring external sensors, his heart racing with anticipation mixed with dread, knowing how close danger lurked behind them still. "Are you ready?" Aurora asked breathlessly as she secured her seat beside him, their fates intertwined by destiny guiding paths forward still unknown yet filled with possibilities waiting patiently just beyond reach. "Ready as I'll ever be," Ray replied firmly while initiating launch sequences, the ship humming to life around them like an old friend welcoming them back after so long apart. As they broke free from Proxima B7's atmosphere, their surroundings shifting rapidly from chaotic battlefields below toward vastness of space stretching endlessly before them, Ray felt both exhilaration and relief wash over him knowing they had escaped. But deep down within him lingered unease. House Morn would not rest until every trace of House Ven was eliminated. This battle was far from over. "We need to regroup," Aurora said firmly, once more focusing on screens displaying star maps ahead. Her expression fierce, filled with determination, igniting fire within hearts gathered here today, bound by purpose, forged anew amidst shadows lingering overhead, threatening encroachment upon fragile alliance, forged anew amidst chaos unfolding around them, beckoning forth future bright shining ahead, filled with potential waiting patiently just beyond reach. "We'll find allies," Ray promised confidently, meeting her gaze unwaveringly, feeling solidarity forming between them both despite differences vast, spanning galaxies, separating worlds once familiar now strange, yet somehow comforting all at once, binding them together through shared experiences forged anew amidst chaos unfolding around them, beckoning forth future bright shining ahead, filled with potential waiting patiently just beyond reach. Together they would reclaim what was lost, fighting not only for survival but also for justice, a legacy worth preserving against all odds stacked against them here today.